Hey, are you facing any impossible situations in your life? You know, the ones that cause you to drop your head in your hands and fill your heart with questions? Well, let me tell you a little secret. But before I do, welcome to Mornings with Bishop Robert. Thanks for joining me on the top spot on the internet for Beverages with a Bishop. You know, my goal is to introduce people to the Jesus they never knew, then help them to get to know Him and His Word personally and better. So if our time together today speaks to your heart, please let me invite you to like, subscribe, and share this with a friend. You know, some time ago, prompted by the miraculous healing of a blind man when one of our bishops laid hands on him and prayed, I wrote a daily devotional entitled Impossible. In it, I confessed that impossible is a word that far too frequently comes to mind when I consider the magnitude of the tasks that lie ahead. I began by taking a mental inventory, trying to determine why I was so willing to give up. I said, I look at me, that's bad enough. Then I look at my energy and my capacity, worse. I look at my available resources, worse yet. And I say to myself, there is simply no way this can be done. My conclusion, then and now, is that this is precisely where the Lord needs us to be in order for Him to be the one who receives the glory. It's only when the situation is thoroughly impossible that God's overcoming strength and grace is the only possible answer. Hey, since some of the situations I'm facing right now are still impossible, I needed to be reminded of God's awesome power. Perhaps you do as well. So today's verse is a repeat. With God, nothing shall be impossible. Turns out that the Lord who created the universe with a spoken word isn't exactly overcome by situations that we consider impossible. Imagine that. I mean, if He needs a sea to split itself in two and have the water stand up and form large walls on either side so His people can pass through on dry land, no problem. I mean, this has to be one of my favorite biblical miracles because it just has so much correlation to the situations we face in our lives. Chased by an enemy who's out to obliterate us. Cornered by the inability and limitations of our own efforts. Lives hanging in the balance. Nowhere to turn but God. I mean, my heart races to think about it. And with a figurative snap of His fingers, God solves the problem. Well, look, to be honest, I have no idea if God actually snapped His fingers. The Bible doesn't say that. But He certainly wasn't pacing back and forth in the throne room wondering aloud, oh boy, now what am I going to do? Yeah, God handled that impossible situation with ease. And hundreds of thousands of people crossed a dry ocean bed in safety. It was easy and safe. For the army of Egypt that chose to pursue, not so much. You know, little side note, I love it when people argue that at a certain time of year, certain parts of certain bodies of water in the particular areas of that region have water that's only an inch or two deep. They argue against the miracle by insisting that the people of Israel were just wading in shallow water that probably didn't even get their ankles wet. Of course, then they have to explain how every member of the greatest army in the known world drowned in 2 inches of water while mounted on horseback. Hey, in another impossible situation, the evil king of Israel sent the equivalent of a modern-day platoon to arrest an old man named Elijah. And the odds appeared to be stacked against him. In fact, it looked like it was a 50-1 chance Elijah would be arrested. You know, something tells me that the 50 soldiers sent to arrest an old man weren't exactly quaking in their boots as they began their mission. But they should have been. Because the odds weren't 50-1. Nope. It was 50 against 2. And that extra one made all the difference in the universe. The commander and his men showed up and ordered Elijah to come with them. The king had ordered his arrest. Well, they knew Elijah was a man of God, but that fact didn't concern them one bit. In fact, the commander said, "Man of God, the king says, come down." Well, Elijah's response basically told the commander that he wasn't taking orders from that king. He had a heavenly king to whom he was obedient. Actually, what Elijah said when he answered the captain was, "If I'm a man of God, may fire come down from heaven and consume you and your 50 men." Well, most of us reading this know what happened next. And even if you're not familiar with that particular story from the Bible, you can probably guess. Fire fell from heaven and consumed the captain and his 50 men. Boom! Quick fried to a crackly crunch. An impossible situation handled. In fact, not once, but twice. So when the third commander showed up with the third platoon of 50 men, he fell on his knees before the prophet and begged for his life. Seemed like Commander number 3 realized something that we all need to know. When dealing with the God of the universe, not a bad idea to start the conversation on your knees. Time and time again, throughout both the Old and the New Testaments, we see God move miraculously to spare and protect and deliver. And he does so when deliverance is part of his plan. Shipwrecks, storms, stones, furnaces of fire, vats of boiling oil, these all have no impact on the one God determines to deliver. So here's my point. When God chooses not to deliver, why do we assume that we know better than he does? We say things like, well, if it were up to me, I'd do such and such a thing. But when we compare ourselves to God, we don't end up looking so good. I mean, which one of us has demonstrated unlimited power for millennia? Which one of us has unlimited wisdom? Which one of us spoke and created the universe? Which one of us is all-knowing? May God give us the grace to totally trust his wisdom and decisions. His choices are always based on his unlimited insight and his unending love. And with God, nothing's impossible. Both my deliverance and my destruction are in his hands, and his timing is perfect. When I was serving on active duty, I put my life in the hands of commanding officers who had every right to choose when, where, and how my life could end in battle. And I did it willingly. I did it because I had previously determined that I was prepared to trade my life to protect the cause and the people I gave an oath to defend. Hey, are God's causes worth a lower level of sacrifice? I think not. May he give me the grace to say with the young men facing in the furnace, know this, my God is able to deliver me, but even if he does not, I will not bow. So here's the little secret I promised to share. We're all faced with great opportunities to glorify God, brilliantly disguised as impossible situations. When God's people walk in faithful service to our King, whether we appear to succeed or appear to fail, if I've been faithful and you've been faithful, we win. Whether we appear to be delivered or appear to be destroyed, we're the victor. Whether we appear to live or appear that we've lost our lives, we live on. Because with God, nothing is impossible. That's all the time we've got for today. But can I ask you help me introduce the people to the Jesus they never knew and help them get to know him and his word personally and better? Please like this video. It'll help more people see it. Click follow or subscribe and click that new notification button so you and I can get together every day. As you do, you're part of the team, touching the hearts of people all over the world with the love of Jesus. Thanks for helping.